Welcome back to Women in Horror and My Disembodied Voice. Today's recipient is a more than worthy member of the Hall of Fame as she starred in a franchise which, since its inception in 2003, has gone so horribly downhill that the films now have all the charm of low-budget student porn. However, that doesn't detract from the honest fun and decent horror of the first Wrong Turn. Born in 1980, Eliza Dushku grabbed her first big role in True Lies when she was just 12 years old. However, it's her turn as wild child, reckless teen and personality-disordered car crash Faith in Buffy the Vampire Slayer which brought her to everyone's attention. Debuting as a rogue slayer in Series 3, Faith was the perfect yang to Buffy's yin. Sarah Michelle Gellar's Vampire Slayer was prim, decent, proper, blonde, honest, friendly, and lived by a code which made her the beating heart which held her group together. Faith, on the other hand, was the dark-scarred brunette, hard-partying, adrenaline junkie who wasn't loved and, as she was drawn towards the mayor's evil plan as his right-hand woman, fell from grace in spectacular fashion. Dushku played her like a car crashing into a dumpster fire, but, and credit to Eliza, we held enough sympathy and understanding with her to realise that her character wasn't evil, just misunderstood and damaged by circumstance while spiralling into perdition under the control of a madman. She would later return in Series 4 of Buffy and then Series 1 of Angel, where she gained some redemption, and she would job around on the show until it ended in its 7th season in 2003. Bearing in mind she was only 22, Eliza was then cast in a film called Wrong Turn. Coming out in the same year as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, although to a much lower fanfare, Dushku played Jessie who, having had boyfriend problems, is driven out to the wilderness for some camping fun with her friends Francine, Evan, Scott and Carly. However, after their car is brought to a standstill by some barbed wire in the road, a hapless Chris Flynn, played by the rather handsome Desmond Harrington, smashes into their car and ruins it completely, no doubt from fixing his hair a couple of hundred more times. Fans will know what I'm talking about. And therefore they are all well and truly buggered in the middle of nowhere. So, after setting out for a phone, these backwoods have no mobile signal at all, they stumble across 3 deformed cannibals. The rest of the film consists of the group being whittled down to the final girl and guy and, after being kidnapped by the rape-hungry miscreants, Chris Flynn saves the day and they drive off battered but still alive. Wrong Turn falls into the Backwoods Brutality genre, or hillbilly genre, or redneck genre. It's up to you really how you define it, how offensive you want to be, or which category you prefer. And it follows in the footsteps of great films such as Deliverance and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's also noteworthy that the location of Wrong Turn, Greenbrier Backcountry, West Virginia, was not accidental, as there have been many stories of inbreeding from those parts stretching back to the 1800s, where both writers and missionaries found colonies of locals living with and off each other in the deepest parts of the forest. Anyway, our cannibals are deformed from a chemical spill, live like freshman students in their first house, absolutely filthy, and have been abducting people for a very long time. The Backwoods Brutality genre has few rules, but these are the essential. A group of people, liberals from the city usually, end up in Middle America where civilization is a little more alien and rustic and, with no transport or means of communication, must be bloodied and tested against the locals who have superior strength and inferior morals, hygiene, skincare, and are often portrayed as a lost tribe who are best left undiscovered. Sexual frustration is usually mentioned but doesn't dominate the films as, with the final girl usually someone of immense hotness like Jessica Biel or Eliza Dushku, the hormonal overdrive from people who have pretty much kept their sexual activities in the family is an underlying threat. But these people are cannibals, so not only is there danger of violation, the penetration would be even more disturbing as it would involve being eaten alive too. Dushku, like many of the cast members of the awesome Buffy the Vampire Slayer series, were all tipped for greatness, but, apart from David Boreanaz carving out a solid career in television, and Alison Hannigan enjoying a flirtation with movie success with the American Pie series, the cast didn't hit the heights the world was expecting of them. Dushku plays Jessie against the typecasting of Faith, as she's the opposite of a murderous recluse who has no friends, but she keeps her recklessness, and that goes in both method acting and her character in the film. Take, for example, that she did her own stunts, including a plunge into a tree branch which causes real physical injury, and being pushed through various breakable furniture by the cannibals. Her gravelly smoker's voice is instantly recognisable, and, as her expendable friends are slowly turned into the cannibals' menu, she's always confident despite being under continuous threat and always outmatched. She plays well with Desmond Harrington too, as, rather than force an underlying love story, we can clearly see they will end up together, but the connection is never forced, they never kiss, well, not in the finished film, but they do in a deleted scene in the DVD, and they share equal rights in fighting back. Yes, Dushku needs rescuing at the end, the cannibals having killed all other females but clearly saw Jessie as a keeper, but she joins the fight back once freed and is by no means a screaming damsel to Harrington's rescue attempt. Wrong Turn was produced by the legendary Stan Winston, who, using his talents for makeup and effects, wanted to make a scary horror film which would stand above the others for realism. Although Wrong Turn didn't really get noticed above the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, it's by no means inferior, and Winston's makeup on the original Cannibals stands the test of time and is evidently better than this. This is Three Fingers by the time of the god-awful parts 5 and 6. And he saw Dushku as the perfect lead actress to carry his movie. Dressed in grey jeans and a white vest, Dushku keeps the confidence and physical abilities we remember when she was Faith. She's never in total control and is hysterical, fearful and terrified as all the others, especially in the cabin scene where they all watch their friend being carved up for dinner. But she is the one calming Carly when needed and motivating people out the tree when the watchtower is on fire. She's on hand with a bow and arrow, attacks a cannibal head on and evolves from the city girl to the violent survivalist when everything is stacked against her. Right, some interesting facts about the film. Eliza Dushku was originally slated to return with Desmond Harrington, but as the second film is set as a reality show filming by the cannibals, she was set to play herself in a meta turn. The idea was thankfully scrapped, and as the sequels got less budget and more frequent, she jumped ship at the right time. Dushku also finds the poster quite laughable too, as she realised upon seeing it that her body is photoshopped to a massive level of distension. She remarked in an interview that they added length and then more stomach, and the result is she looks strangely deformed. While Dushku would do other low-budget horror films, Soul Survivors and Open Graves being just two, they didn't match the production values or simplicity of Wrong Turn. The film does not break new ground and sticks to the formula of hillbilly horror, but once discovered by the cannibals as they escape from the cabin in the film's standout early scene, it basically becomes a chase movie where, out of their depth and in an alien world, the three remaining survivors have to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. As final girl-ish, she also has the clichés. The couple who perform sexual acts first are the ones that die first. The ones who talk openly about their sexual exploits die next, and as Jessie and Chris Flynn are the single and sensible ones, they make it to the end. We're still in 2003 here, so there's still some old-fashioned sexism and role expectations here. Jessie needs a male to rescue her, and it's the male who fires the final fatal shot, and the making on the DVD was even called Eliza Dushku, Babe in the Woods. But Jessie's no pushover, and Dushku gives a solid performance. It's also worth noting that she carries the guilt of her friends' deaths too, because, but for their idea to take her somewhere and cheer her up after her boyfriend left her, nobody would have died at all. Also, the forest and the environment is a major star of the film and is used beautifully as both a juxtaposition to the horror and a vast wilderness to emphasise how lost these kids really are. Jessie is no virginal wallflower on her way to discovering how strong she is. She arrives as a strong female character. She arrives as someone who, upset from being dumped by her partner, is just going along with this cheer-up trip, although none of them really want to be there in the first place. They all just think Jessie loves this outdoor stuff. She's also a character not looking for a new boyfriend. Yes, there is chemistry between the two leads, but their survival comes first, and, from the moment they meet, the dynamic is on survival rather than shagging. Jessie is the one who discovers that the car has been derailed by barbed wire. Jessie is the one who steals the truck after Chris Flynn starts the distraction, and she's the one who makes sure the others are always okay and tries to hold people together. She's about action, tenderness, and her will to survive is as strong as she is. Jessie is brave too. She is the decoy to the tree whack scene, willing to make huge leaps without second thoughts, and fights back rather than just screams. Oh, and she gets some decent thumps in too. This is no woman who pathetically tries to help while the man does all the hitting. Both Jesse and Chris Flynn are almost slaughtered, such is the cannibal's strength, and they repeatedly save each other at moments where one is incapacitated or about to be killed. It's also nice that, considering the later entries were just cheap porn with gratuitous torture, Wrong Turn keeps sexual menace and violence remarkably constrained. Yes, there is blood, see the cabin scene, and plenty of low-cut tiny tops, but nothing to what the series pandered to in later episodes. Wrong Turn is a film which wanted to go for horror and, as the characters delve deeper into the backwoods and make things worse for themselves at every wrong turn and attempt to escape, the focus is on the leads and the worsening crisis rather than the tits or slowing the place down for 5 minutes of torture. Winston stated that, when they were making Wrong Turn, they wanted a known actress who could handle the physical role, and he said Dushku was perfect. She is. Dressed in a John McClane-style white vest, fighting giants, dodging fire, and triumphing in a final shot where she drives herself and Chris Flynn to safety, she carries Wrong Turn and is completely believable as the lead heroine. The film was never going to win any Oscars, but it certainly can be held as a strong example of Backwoods Brutality Genre and redneck cannibal films, if we ignore the sequels. Jessie fought the cannibals and she won. She was an outstanding lead and, for a film whose premise was just on the run from cannibals in the lost world of the hillbilly forest, she's brilliant. Wrong Turn may not have been loved by the critics, but it was a firm favourite of mine, and yes, I also had her distended body Eliza poster on my wall when it came out. It's a shame she didn't do more reputable horror films, as there is no doubt she can carry a film, but as forages into this genre goes, it's a worthy effort with two very likeable leads. So, slot number 5 goes to Eliza Dushku, and we welcome her to the Hall of Fame. It's time for another break now from the series, but when we come back for the 6th entry, it's Lupita Nyong'o from Jordan Peele's Us. So, until next time, I'll catch you later.